We're continuing our Radical Self-Care for Black Women series. In today's video, I will be talking about how to create a simple daily self-care plan. Hi, my name is Colette, and I created this channel as a safe space with you in mind. I help Black women to embrace new seasons of their lives with purpose and joy by pursuing resilience, practicing self leadership, and pivoting towards entrepreneurship. If anything I've said resonates with you, welcome to the community. We'd love to have you. At this time, I encourage you to grab a pen and paper or something to write with. Get comfortable. We're going to talk. You're going to see me looking down at my notes because I have a lot to cover and I don't want to forget to give you any information. So, self care is such a very personal journey. And each one of us have our own journey. We're starting at different places in our lives. We're starting from different areas. We have different things going on in our lives. We have different lifestyles, different barriers, challenges, responsibilities. So I'm saying all that to say that there is no right or wrong way to self-care. And I just want you to remember that as I'm giving you suggestions and just see them as suggestions. Self-care plans as a result of our differences, there's no one size fits all. We may have basics in common, but there is no one size fit all. And I just want to encourage you when we start to write our self-care plans, let them be flexible. You're not married to the plan. It doesn't have to stay the same. As you change, as your lifestyle changes, as your life situations change, your self-care plan may change as well to reflect those changes in your lives. Okay? So at this point, I want to emphasize that self-care begins with self-awareness. It has to, because we have to know who we are. And to be honest with you, the journey of self care is a journey that is steeped in self awareness and self discovery. Okay. So the first step to self care is identifying your personal values. And you don't have to write down all your personal values. You want to write everything down, but you don't want to write down all your personal values. You don't have to for this. I say maybe grab, write down one or two or three of your personal values. And the reason why I encourage you to do that is because your personal values will sort of serve as your why as you are practicing self care, as you are getting deeper into understanding who you are and what you value, which tells you why you do what you do. For example, um, three of my top values are freedom, peace of mind, and my time. Those are my top three values, or three of my top values, I should say, because of course I have others. But I'll give you an example how understanding your values will impact the way you self care and how you decide to execute self care and write your self care plan. So, for example, my value of peace of mind. It's a major part of my self care plan is to guard and to protect my peace of mind. I do this by limiting my exposure to anything that would upset my peace of mind, like being in a toxic environment or being around people who exhibit toxic behavior. So, though, for example, I may decide to go to a party or may want to go to a party, if I feel that that party or the atmosphere at the party or people at the party, their behavior, not them, because people who exhibit toxic behavior, they're not necessarily bad people. They're people that have things going on and people don't always respond to things in a healthy way. So anyway, getting back to the example, it means I may not go to that party. I may not attend because if I feel again that it's going to um, upset my peace of mind, I won't go to that party. Okay. So I mentioned in a prior video the areas of self care, and I mentioned five of them. There are more because some people will break down the five areas that I'm mentioning, they will break them down further. In the prior video, I mentioned physical self care, I mentioned emotional self care, I mentioned mental self care, I mentioned spiritual self care, and I mentioned um, social self care. And sometimes you hear people refer to social self care as relational self care, and sometimes you hear people refer to mental self care as intellectual self care. And I also want to bring up that sometimes you hear people refer to spiritual self care as temple care. Okay. And there are there's other areas of self care. So when you're doing your self care plan, you don't have to limit it to five. And in fact, you don't even have to include all these five that I've mentioned. You may consider adding professional self care if you're working and in a workplace. You may consider adding entrepreneurial self care if you are self employed. You may consider adding academic self care if you're a student, regardless of the age. You may consider adding financial self care. I personally limit it to these five because I mentioned in the prior video, sometimes if it gets too big, it can get overwhelming for some people like me, but some people can handle that. If you can handle having more than five areas, do you, because self care is about doing you, right? So, again, identifying and writing down your values, that is step one. So, step two, what you want to do is on a separate sheet of paper from where you wrote down your values, you want to write down each area of self care. So, the physical care, emotional care, uh, mental care, spiritual care, and social care. And just write them down. Just make a column, make three columns on a piece of paper. And in column one, just write down those five areas of self care, that I just mentioned. In the second column, you want to write down next to uh, the area, one thing you want to do buried in the area. So, for example, let's say you mention, you write down physical self care in column one. Next to it in column two, which would be titled something like, things to improve on or things to, what I want to do differently. And column three would be, you're going to list the activity that you want to do better. So in column one, let's say you list physical care under your self-care plan. And this is a daily self-care plan. So you would be doing it every day. If you want, you can just do one plan for the week, So maybe it is physical self-care and you want to improve your sleeping habits. That could be in the column to improve on. So the third column would be, what are you going to do? Put one thing that you're going to do to improve your sleep habits. That may be set a time to go to bed at 10 o'clock every night, you know. So physical self-care, the one thing you want to do, improve your sleep time, and three, in the third column would be what you're going to do. And that might be to go to bed at 10 o'clock. Okay. So I will show you an example, and you don't have to do it this way, but I will show you an example of a simple self-care plan, and I hope you can see that. Okay. So here you can see the care area is here. You can see that care area here. Okay. And you can see that it's physical. So you have physical here. Okay. And then better sleep habits, trying to hold this paper up. Better sleep habits here. That's what you want to improve. I want to improve better sleep. I want to do better sleep habits. And the supportive activity, that's what I decided to call it because I hate to call stuff things that's going to make me not want to do it. Okay. And so you have go to bed by 10. Very simple. And I encourage you to just do one thing, just one. Maybe, and this could be maybe for Monday. Okay. Or maybe it's for the week. Okay, you can change this daily to weekly. Okay, so maybe go to bed by 10 o'clock every day that week. And maybe the next week, when you do your self care plan, maybe you say, uh, go to bed by 10 and take the phone out the bed. I sleep with my phone in bed. That's horrible, 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 horrible. But maybe that next week you might put, you know, plug phone in outside of the room, take it out the bed, put it on the nightstand or whatever. Okay. So the second one, emotional. You see that that says emotional. Okay. That is the care area here. And then what I want to improve, be more positive. So, what activity am I going to do to be more positive? What supportive activity? Write in a gratitude journal. Now, you may say, I don't want to write in a gratitude journal. You might decide to do something else. It might be to practice affirmations. I'm going to be more, I am a positive person. I am a positive person. I am a positive person. You may decide to meditate. Okay. Give you one other example. So, again, this is on the same, daily thing. So your area of care is here, okay? And you can see that the care that we listed is spiritual, okay? And I want to improve, okay? So that just means what do you want to do? I want to get closer to God, okay? So what are you going to do to get closer to God? You may decide this week or this day you're going to read the Bible, okay? Upon rising in the morning. So you see how simple this can be. And again, you can change this anytime you want. You don't have to use this format. I just thought it was easy, and I didn't list the five here. You might decide to list the five, or you might decide to list six, or, I just wrote it big so you all can see this on the paper. You may decide to take away some of it. Maybe you're going to take away emotional, maybe you're going to add something else. This is your plan. It's not a one size fits all. Okay. So, one of the things I just again want to emphasize, please, 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 just don't try to do too much the first time, because it's a process. We all have to learn, we have to learn ourselves sometimes. Some people already know themselves and I just admire them. Me, every day I'm learning something new about myself, I'm like, and sometimes it's not even learning about ourselves, it's remembering things about ourselves. As we change, and as you hear me say, I talk about new seasons of people's lives. We are changing. I'm not the same person today that I was when I was 20 years old, which was 36 years ago. I'm not that person. I'm never going to be that person again. So because I am in a different place, some of the things that I do, it's different. And some of the stuff that I used to do, I forgot. You know what I'm saying? So self care again is about being self aware. That's the first step. Okay. And why are we doing self care? Because we want to show ourselves self compassion. And when we show ourselves self compassion, we're demonstrating self love. And that's important. I encourage you again to start small and one activity in each care area. Okay. I just want to remind you that self care is not selfish. Show your self compassion and extend yourself some grace. Okay. As you embark upon your self care journey, it's important. This is important because we may see it as another thing on our to do list. And it may be true. I have to be honest. I would be intellectually dishonest if I did not say that this is not going to take some effort, and it may seem like something that I got to add to the list. Some of us have so many things going on. It is something we have to add to the list. But I'm just encouraging you to add it to the top of the list. And if you can't add it to the top of the list, add it to the near the top. Maybe if it's not number one, make it number two, but no less than number three. You've probably heard um, this quote before, and it's by Chinese philosopher Lao Tzu. This: the journey of 1,000 miles began with one step. One step. I encourage you, take the step. Just take it. Take the one step towards practicing radical self care. You really, really deserve it. I'm going to be walking with you. We may be going in a different direction, but know that there's somebody else out there taking some steps as well. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, share it with people who may benefit from it. Again, we're going to be continuing the Radical Self-Care for Black Women series. Consider subscribing to the channel if you want to see more segments on this topic. And remember to hit the notification bell when you do subscribe. Also, put any comments that you have about this segment, any suggestions, anything that you do or have started doing to support your radical self-care journey. Share it with the community. Other people can benefit. Until we talk again, be blessed.